Welcome to Win with the Law with your host, Gary Newland. In the Win with the Law podcast, your host, Gary Newland, partner at Newland and Newland LLP, invites guests who are experts in the personal injury law arena and other areas of law of interest to discuss topics relevant to the general public. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, newlandlaw.com. Now here's the host of Win with the Law, Gary Newland.
Welcome to Win with the Law. Learn how to navigate the legal landscape and end up on top with the help of the legal community's most prominent lawyers. My name is Gary Newland, a trial lawyer with Newland and Newland LLP. We will discuss issues involving the law and strategies for success so those listening can be empowered to achieve successful outcomes when it comes to legal challenges. Without further ado, I would like to introduce Shawn Good. Shawn is an attorney and at Good Law Group. Did I say that right, Shawn?
The Good Law Group, that's us.
Yep. And Shawn does Social Security disability law, and that's the main focus of the Good Law Group. And they also practice in other areas as well. Welcome, Shawn. And can you just tell us a little bit about yourself and let me know if I left something out?
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for the opportunity. Obviously, Gary, always good to see you, whether it's in person or on camera. I work at the Good Law Group with my father, Neil, and my brother, Ross, who just joined us. Our main concentration remains Social Security, disability benefits, and supplemental security income. I also do a lot of real estate transactions from residential, commercial to new construction. And then Ross has added all kinds of new stuff that's been pretty exciting. We were talking about off on camera, specifically like we're working on some pretty large Ponzi scheme recovery cases right now. So,
Yeah, I know Ross has a lot of experience with class actions and fraud and is a nice addition to the firm. Now, correct me if I'm wrong here, but you guys are all goods, right?
Yep. Yeah, I think I posted on Facebook when Ross joined that the firm got more good.
Yeah. You could have gone with good, and good.
Yeah. I had to rebrand when he joined, though. Now the Good Law Group, just, if there's more of us, it just flows easily without changing any marketing.
Well, your firm's reputation is exceptional, and you've helped many of my clients over the years, and I'm very appreciative. So what inspired you to get involved with Social Security disability law?
Well, my dad started doing it in the 90s, and I always knew I was going to work with him. It really wasn't, I love Social Security disability so much. I was just like, me and my dad get along so well. Why not work together? I never really saw myself going into a big law firm. I always saw myself working with him, and we get to help a lot of people. So it's a rewarding area of law. I'm sure you feel the same way with a lot of what you do. And it's great to work with family, and it's great to help people, and it's fun to try to grow your business.
I've been practicing for about 30 years, and one of the first lawyers I observed in a courtroom was your father. And he did a trial I observed, and I thought that he was exceptional. And to this day, it was one of the best run trials I had ever seen. So I want you to know that. Tell me, what sets the Good Law Group aside from the fact that you're excellent trial lawyers? What sets you aside from other Social Security disability firms?
Yeah, I think, one of the most basic things that people forget about and law firms forget about, and that's just communication. Our phones are being answered, your messages are being returned. We're in touch when you want to be in touch, if you're a client of ours. And, when I joined the firm, I can tell you that wasn't the case, and it kind of freaked me out. So we put systems in place with email and text message and things through our website and redone the phone system. But the number one thing that I kind of remain focused on, besides making sure we're making our deadlines and showing up to court on time with the documents in hand, is really making sure the clients know that we're here for them, that we're available, that our staff's available, and the turnaround time to hear from us isn't a week.
Yeah, that's great. It's funny. I don't know if you've ever heard this, but we take calling people back very seriously as well. And sometimes when I call a client back, they're surprised. They're like, I've had a lawyer in the past, and they don't usually call me back that quickly, and I'm a bit taken back by that. Have you heard that as well?
Yeah, I hear that all the time. And, people in our area of law have, you know, maybe they've tried to get disability in the past, went with, there's for-profit corporations doing this with lawyers working at the companies that don't really care. I'm not going to name names, but their case fails. They're allowed to, file a second claim, and they're like, wow, there's people here. They'll answer my call. So I hear that all the time, and it's something that is so important to keeping your business afloat. And then you get reviews and good feedback and referrals.
Shawn, I think your practice has a similarity to my practice as well, wherein you get paid if you win. Is that correct?
Absolutely, only if we win.
Yeah. And so you're pretty incentivized to win under that. You're not working for a big corporation where you're going to get paid anyways, right?
Yeah, and we got to keep the people with us, right? Just because you get paid to win doesn't mean the client's going to be happy at the end and want you to get paid if you didn't treat them well. I mean, the client has to be along with you for the ride. So, communicating with them, even when they don't want to reach out to you, isn't a bad idea. Just to stay in front of them, check on them, make sure they're happy.
So a win for you is when you acquire Social Security disability benefits for someone that has had a problem in their life and they're unable to work. Is that fair?
Yeah, that's the primary, case we look for. It's someone who typically, the best cases are people that have work history, something happens mentally or physically that prevents them from working, and there's significant, robust medical documentation and support for them not being able to work with very specific limitations.
Do a lot of your cases go to trial?
So calling them a trial is, a little stretch. They're quote unquote non-adversarial hearings, which in my opinion are more adversarial than trials. And everything's done on the fly to some extent. There's no depositions. And I would say greater than 90% of our cases end up at a hearing before an administrative law judge. And then there's appeals after that, if necessary, if we think the case is viable to pursue.
So essentially, a lot of your cases go to trial in front of an administrative judge or hearing officer
Yeah.
that basically has the power of a judge to decide whether disability benefits are awarded or not. Is that fair?
Yeah. And I tell clients all the time, I'm like, we're walking a fine line of, the judge in some ways, and I say this sort of tongue in cheek, is the judge, the jury, and the executioner. They decide everything in your case. So you want to be nice, you want to be respectful, and you want to answer. You don't want to go off on a tangent. This is the decider, and if they don't decide in your favor, we're here quietly building an appeal, basically.
And are there certain judges that are more friendly to awarding benefits than other judges?
Oh, yeah. Statistically, there's a few websites. There's one called disabilityjudges.org and one called disabilityjudges.com, ironically, very similar. And you can go look up your judge and statistically see the likelihood of success. At the low end, they approve 12%. At the high end, it's probably 80. The national average is about 42, 43, 44. And, when the numbers dip below about 38% is when we know that we're up against a challenge.
So is the assignment of the judges completely random?
I did a Freedom of Information Act request on that. There's a regulation that says it is. I had them misleading me for months about the internal processing, that they were going to give me some data on what's going on. They claim it is. If you look at the couple hundred hearings we do a year as a firm, you will find the same cast of characters repeated. But again, my FOIA request trying to get more information wasn't very successful. And that was this year. I think I failed in early 2024 on that FOIA.
So a FOIA request would have been made to the Social Security Administration, is that right?
Yeah, they have a FOIA officer, and they actually changed the FOIA process recently to the federal government. There's a portal. It used to be a little easier. I do a lot of FOIAs for data on Social Security and kind of what's going on, who's doing what, and just try to get as much information as I can. But that one bothered me because when you get a couple judges consistently that are these low approver, and you're like, how am I not getting anybody else in the office all the time? Like, this isn't random. And then you get in the FOIA, they said, we need another month. We need another month. We need another month. So I'm 4 months in a waiting. And then I get a one sentence, like, here's the statute or the regulation that says one sentence that it's all random. And I'm like, great. Thanks for, providing that
Yeah.
real free information.
No, it's and the Freedom of Information Act, FOIA is that's a form you submit that requires the government to disclose certain information. Is that right?
Yeah, it's actually become significantly more challenging with the federal government. You have to go through this whole process of giving your driver's license. There's this website they use called id.me, I think, or something
Yeah.
like that. And it used to be a lot easier. And I will tell you, and you and I have talked about artificial intelligence before many times. I'm pretty into it. Now AI writes all my FOIA requests. I tell ChatGPT, write this FOIA request, and then I copy and paste it into the FOIA portal, and then I set calendar reminders to follow up. Yeah.
Shawn, tell me about what you need from your clients to provide effective representation.
It starts with a lot of what we talked about, just keeping in touch with us. When clients disappear for a long time, it makes the case really difficult. The second most important thing besides keeping in touch with us, and maybe it's more important, is they need to consistently seek medical treatment. They need to go to their doctors. If something's, in an emergency situation, they need to go to a hospital. For example, if they take a fall at home or they're a frequent faller, it doesn't really happen unless it's documented by going to the doctor or a hospital pretty shortly thereafter. So it's being in touch with us, and it's the willingness to go to the doctor. And then the third thing that kind of builds on the second one is that, you need to be nice to your doctor. Okay. If you're nice to your doctor may be nice to you. I deal with people that have physical and mental illnesses, and, I've seen the same doctors help people and the same doctors not help people. And I know exactly why. And it's because the clients can be combative. So it's, what do you get more bees with honey or whatever is the saying? Just be a little nice to your doctors, see if they'll help you.
Can people with drug addiction get Social Security disability?
So not active, they're very, very strict monitoring. The medical records, of course, show, we pulled a blood alcohol test. We did a 12-panel drug test. They were positive. No way. You're not getting nothing. And that's an easy out for the judges that are really looking to deny people. However, if, say, you're a recovering addict, you've done significant kidney and liver damage, and you're totally clean and sober, depending on the level of damage and the documentation and the support of the medical providers, there's definitely possibility to get disability insurance benefits.
Now, when you get Social Security disability, does one always get Medicare benefits as well?
So the thing to distinguish, just to be clear, is there's two types of programs, right? There's SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, and that one does come with Medicare 29 months after the onset date or the day you became disabled. And then the other program that's not talked about as often, or is called welfare, people say on TV, it's called SSI, or Supplemental Security Income. And that one does not come with Medicare.
And what's the differential between the two? Why does one get one and not the other?
Yeah. So supplemental security income is welfare. It's needs-based. You have to be below a certain asset threshold that is really tiny. They're actually working on bringing it up. You have to have less than $2,000 in assets, excluding your home and your car. And then you have to meet the same medical requirements as SSDI. And the numbers for it, like monthly, I think are in the 950 range maximum. You get $950 a month to attempt to live in America. And then SSDI is more based on your work history, how much you've paid in, and you're eligible for Medicare, which is a significantly better program for health insurance than Medicaid typically.
So I'm going to ask you one more question about Social Security, and then we're going to move on to some of the exciting stuff your firm's working on. Can someone collect Social Security disability and also work at the same time?
Oh, so the answer is kind of. I'll tell you our firm policy first. Okay. We do not work with people that are working. If you're working part-time, we're not going to take the risk of taking your case in and attempting to win. Okay. The Social Security Administration has a moving target of rules that says you can work a little bit and we'll treat you the same as somebody who's not working. But I tell my clients this, imagine you have two twin Gary Newlands, one's working, one's not. You have the same medical conditions, and the judge can only pick one of you to get benefits. Well, the judges are going to pick the Gary Newlands that's not working because of his disability, right? The twin situation. And after you've been awarded benefits, the numbers change every year. And I don't have them off the top of my head, but there's a small amount of money you can make without jeopardizing your benefits. One thing we always talk to our clients about is just making sure that depending on their age, they continue to seek medical treatment, because Social Security can always come back and kick the tires and look at your medical records and go, oh, you got on disability, you started working part-time, you stopped going to all the doctors, you must be better. We're going to take these benefits away now. So that consistency of medical treatment needs to be pretty much until you reach full retirement age.
Wow. It's a very interesting field. And I understand one of the things we touched on earlier that your firm is doing, it's going after Ponzi schemes. And can you explain what a Ponzi scheme is?
Yeah, the most well-known one is obviously the Bernie Madoff Ponzi scheme. These are investment fraud schemes where, basically a figurehead or corporation or LLC says, give us your money and we'll give you some big return. And, often or sometimes they actually start off as legitimate enterprises. And as they start rolling, they basically take in new money to pay out past investors and keep that cycle going, typically for about a 5-year term, and then they go bust. And
Is that the old saying, take from Peter to pay for Paul?
yeah, pretty much.
Yeah.
And we're working on a few of them right now. A big one just was announced by the SEC, and we have a handful of plaintiffs that have retained us. And it's fun, it's exciting, it's new. It's also sad, obviously, for the injured, but I feel like this is an area where we really can help people. The one that we're working on specifically is called Drive Planning LLC. And I think we're well situated for it just because, we're licensed in so many states federally just because of the Social Security practice. My brother's licensed in Florida, which is where we think a lot of the assets are. And as you know, I'm pretty involved in real estate, and this is a real estate-based Ponzi scheme. So we're, looking at the title searches, trying to find the assets, who lent money on these things, and look for possible defendants and people to collect, because the losses are big and the stories are just terrible.
A lot of times it's people's money that they were planning to use for retirement, isn't it?
I've seen, how about money for your kid's college fund and your retirement, or a second mortgage on your house? You've been in it for 3 years. They're giving you 10% every 3 months on your money. And then all of a sudden you're 700,000 in, and it all goes away.
Yeah, it's the old adage too, where sometimes if something's too good to be true, it is. But it's hard when you're in there and you get caught up in it, and people are very good salesmen, I think, is one of the issues. Some people can sell anything.
Yeah, and to that point, the more devastating and complicated thing is, the sentiment we get from people is, I'm glad I didn't tell my brother, father, uncle, or friend about this.
Yeah.
because a lot of these things don't come from the figurehead. They come from the figurehead meets an investment advisor, and the investment advisor brings in 1, 2, or 3 clients. And the investment advisor has success and then brings people in and they have success. And then it explodes. And that's where we are with Drive Planning right now. It's called Drive Planning LLC.
It's interesting because you managed to utilize all your experience in different areas of law to maximize the outcomes for your clients. It shows how complicated certain issues are. You have state and federal issues, you have real estate issues, fraud issues, there's litigation issues, and your firm manages to handle them all because you have great diverse experience. It's really, really amazing.
It's a team
So,
sport.
what's that, Shawn?
It's a team sport,
Yeah.
That's one, and I don't mean to go off topic, but one of the things I always kind of admired about your office is that it's like you have a team of people, not even just that you share that space, that there's somebody always you can kind of talk to. And as we grow, it becomes more useful, like what you guys have. And I think you're still in Arlington Heights. That team atmosphere. I mean, this is not a business you want to be solo with your head down too long. There's too many angles to look at this. You need other people.
You do, and there's an old lawyer joke. Not that into lawyer jokes, being a lawyer, but there's one where there's this town with one lawyer, a small town. They have one lawyer, and he's not doing very well. He's thinking about leaving, and then another lawyer moves into town, and all of a sudden his business is real good.
Yeah.
And lawyers do, beget lawyers, and and it's interesting how. The more oftentimes it's important to have a specialty and have a focus, but also diverse experience helps you manage that specialty or that focus in your practice as well. And there's always issues involving something else, like in personal injury, for example, like you were saying with the Ponzi scheme. I mean, there's oftentimes we have to figure out who to sue, and sometimes it's the property owner, and we have to look at the title and understand who the different property owners are. And practice areas do touch upon each other. And it's not that we're the jack of all trades, because I wouldn't necessarily use a lawyer that was the jack of all trades, but it's good to have diverse experience to help you manage your practice. And between your brother and your dad and yourself, you guys really have some diverse experience that comes together for success. It's pretty neat.
Yeah, and one of the things that just comes up all the time in Social Security hearings, and it's just a turn of phrase, and I'm sure in comp it's the same. They call it transferable skills.
Yeah.
You learn skills maybe from PI that transfer to workers' comp, or from real estate to a Ponzi scheme. I feel like a lot of the general public think, oh, you went to law school, you can answer any of my legal questions about any area of law. Do you ever get that?
Yeah.
And it is, we know how to figure it out. That's for sure.
Yeah.
That's what they teach us. But, there's a lot of transferable skills, and you got to work with other people, in order to get the best outcome. I truly think so. Being a lawyer is the scariest thing in the world as a lawyer.
There's a lot of overlap. It's interesting. I had someone come in today that had a case potentially involving overtime, where they weren't being paid overtime. And my firm does workers' compensation, but not comfortable with overtime. And just like you. So what I do when it's outside my zone of comfort, I refer it to an attorney that does that specific area. And what's outside of your zone of comfort. Is your basis or a lot of your practice from referrals from other attorneys?
It's very hard to track, just because a lot of it, with how marketing is now, everything seems to flow through the website. So someone will send us a live chat, they'll send us a message, they'll fill out a form. So we'll think it's from the website, and then we'll get on the call and we'll ask again, how'd you find us? And they'll say, Gary sent us to you. And then we'll mark it in the system. So we prefer referrals. I mean, honestly, I'd rather pay referral fees than pay Google or whatever ad platform. It's a compliment. You get to stay in touch with your friends like you. Yeah, if I could build a system where everything was referral based, that would be the ideal law firm. Overhead would be lower up front. It would be the best way.
I know my clients that are catastrophically injured, they are referred to you guys because they need something coming in while the case is pending. And you guys are amazing. In my experience, you work as fast as the system can permit. I mean, there's legal time and there's real time, right?
Yeah.
And legal time, unfortunately, is slow for the clients, but you guys do it as quick as you can and get results. And it's makes it easier for me to do my job because my client's able to get, their some money coming in, and that takes a lot of pressure out of their lives. And so I really appreciate the service you provide for my clients. And I would love it if people weren't catastrophically injured and I didn't need to send them to you, but it's just what happens in life. There's things that happen where buildings fall on them or bad car accidents or whatever, and then they need your help as well as our help. What I do is, represent them against the insurance companies, and you take on the federal government for them. It's kind of neat.
Yeah. There's parallels, and we like working with your clients, and we do go as fast as we can. I mean, there's no, there's a, I tell people this all the time when they say, why should I use a lawyer? I can do this myself. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Just when you get when you get your application reconsideration or hearing denial or request form, you have the opportunity to wait 60 days. If you wait 60 days 3 times, that's 6 months you just tacked on your case. Our turnaround time on these forms is 3 days, 4, and there are private companies, corporations that are non-lawyers that look at that because they don't have the same duties that we do under the ethical rules and go, ooh, I know how to increase the back pay to increase my cut. I'm going to wait till the 59th day to file everything. And I have heard that from people who work at my firm that have worked at other entities and firms. And obviously, I mean, the ethics rules are absolutely transparent for us. We're going as fast as we can. Obviously, we can't do it every minute, but our system's in place and we try to go and not waste any time.
So I get that. With our injury practice, it's referral related basically, and from other lawyers and clients. And oftentimes they come to us after they've already tried to do it on their own and done damage to the case, or they come to us after they've gone to a lawyer that tries to be the jack of all trades, but is the master of none. And there's been a lot of damage on the case, and we have to tell them, unfortunately, we can't help you, or now this is going to be delayed. We have to redo all this, or this process that you underwent was detrimental to your case. And, so it's important no matter what, because I think like we don't charge for our initial consultation. Do you guys charge for an initial consultation?
Absolutely not. Absolutely not. And I just on that topic, I've been communicating with you via text. I sent you somebody who is in my network, someone who's, I'm close with their family basically. And I was like, do not go at this alone. This insurance company is not going to help you. I mean, I was ready to go to this friend's family and start shaking them. I'm like, at least call a lawyer before you ruin this for yourself, because you're talking about serious stuff and you think that this insurance company is just going to take care of you and they're nice people. I mean,
yeah, they have these insurance companies all have lawyers that are advising them how to screw people. They honestly make money by not paying it out, right? So if they can get away cheap, that's their job.
it mirrors, the I in SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance. The I is insurance, and this is a federally run insurance program, and it's the same thing.
They're trying to save the taxpayers money. I mean,
Yeah,
and not give out to claims they shouldn't give money out on, but at the same time, sometimes they shortchange seriously hurt people.
Oh, I mean, you show up to court unrepresented, you demand that you want your hearing with no lawyer, you're going to get eaten alive.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
maybe
the rules of evidence, right?
well, they start the hearing with the rules of evidence don't apply. That's how
Oh,
they
do they really?
Yeah,
Oh my God.
this is an informal process, and the rules of evidence do not apply.
So
A
what
lot of
does
judges,
apply?
that is literally what they say on the record verbatim. I'd say 50% of the judges try to kind of keep the room calm, and they say the rules of evidence do not apply. This is an informal proceeding, and then they proceed to apply the rules of evidence in some cases.
Yes, that leaves them to a great deal of subjectivity, I think.
Yeah, and they're stuck with quotas. I mean, these judges unfortunately have quotas, or they get in trouble.
Yeah. When you say a quota, they're under some pressure to not award Social Security disability. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, there was some news. I'm not going to name a judge's name who's retiring, but he was featured in a Washington Post article where he said something to the effect of, "Every day I come to work and I'm forced to make decisions I don't think are right." And that was within the past 6 months or a year. He's retiring any day. And he was
That's
one
a
of the,
good thing.
well, now we lost a good one. They're going to plug in somebody that's not like him.
Well, I guess it's a good one, but I mean, being forced to make decisions, I mean, you don't want to make, it almost sounds like to me that that's not a job I could stomach.
Oh, yeah. You know, I'm sure you've had challenges in your business like we do. We're a small business. And when I started out here with my dad, he was like, go become an ALJ. Like when you reach the age, because I wasn't old enough. I don't know if I am old enough now. And I thought about it, and I thought about it, and I was like, oh, I could never do this. These people are being forced to make decisions they don't want to in a lot of cases. It seems like.
Yeah.
I mean, even the judges that I like a lot and are very reasonable and fair, sometimes I sense in their decision writing, I'm like, this wasn't written by them. This was written by a decision writer. They had to do this to keep their job.
It's interesting. It's like in work comp, people don't realize this as well. It's almost 50% of all the cases are appealed. And, so, justice delayed is justice denied.
Absolutely.
And to have a percentage where almost 50% of the cases that happens to is, it's outrageous. And as you can tell, when you have a case and you got to appeal it, it can be years before the client finds justice.
Yeah, we've got cases that are 12 and 14 years old.
Yeah.
They've gone to the Seventh Circuit twice. We're going to the Seventh Circuit a third time, and we're getting remands, and they're still denying them on remand.
Yeah.
I mean, it's you want to bang your head in the wall. You go back to your, I'm a little younger than you, and I remember law school, and I go, are these people following the ethics rules? Like, what? Did they not read the remand order? What's going
so
on?
what you're saying on remand, the appellate court sends it back down and says you made the wrong finding. Now you got to redo the finding, right?
Yeah.
Is that what a remand is?
Yeah, and the standard is harmless error. So this is a significant error. This is an error that would overturn the decision. So sometimes they treat it like a roadmap to a new denial. Like, oh, I know how to fix my denial to make it better.
Yeah.
And
Like they don't want to admit that they were wrong, right?
Never. 12 years in, yeah, I got two cases that are like they've been at our firm longer than I've been a lawyer.
Yeah, I have a friend who tried a case and the judge made error at the trial and he lost. There's a multi-million-dollar case, and the appellate court sent it down for a new trial, but it was in a small county, so it went before the same judge. And so we got a new trial in front of the judge. The jury awarded millions of dollars. And then the judge wrote a verdict saying, I don't care what the jury says. We're not awarding any money. He wrote a JNOV.
Yep.
Then they had to appeal that. And so this poor family, it was a death case. The case went on for, half a dozen years longer than it should have. And they had to relive the experience multiple times. And there's a lot of trauma associated with these processes where there's appeals and lack of closure for these people. It's very challenging.
They feel abused. And I mean, for us, you talk about a JNOV in civil on the civil side, not this administrative stuff. But for us, when it gets remanded, it goes back to the same ALJ the second time. Then you get denied again, and it gets remanded a third time. And I think maybe I'm confusing my numbers. It's late on a Friday here. It gets sent to a new ALJ like the third or fourth time. And usually that's when you're successful. I mean, we got ones that are going to the Seventh Circuit Court of Appeals twice, getting remands and going back, and they're like, no, this person's fine. She can work.
So they have like some sort of rule that after your trial judge or your trial arbitrator, whatever they are, here's the case multiple times and screws it up multiple times, then you finally get a new judge. Is that it?
Yeah, I think it's the third remand you get a new one. And usually we're very successful on it. I think only once have we gone to the Seventh Circuit twice.
I mean, I'm laughing, but I'm laughing out of disgust. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Can you imagine being the person who the case gets hard enough being the lawyer, let alone the client in those cases?
I mean, these cases are, they're heard by people that are now in the Supreme Court. For example, you think you got, you have Amy Coney Barrett in a concurrent decision, writing your decision, you think you're going to get benefits on remand, and then you don't. And then, for me, I'm getting jaded, and my law school days are now 8 years behind me. But when I came out of law school, my jaw was on the floor all the time. I was like, is this real, Dad? I'm like, I went to school and they told us about ethics and like reading the medical records and like looking at the evidence.
Yeah.
It's a quota thing. It's a numbers thing, and I don't know how far I can get myself in trouble talking about this too much, but.
Well, a lot of it too is power dynamics. I mean, people say to me, oh, the trial lawyers have so much power, but we don't own the skyscrapers in downtown Chicago. It's the insurance companies. We don't control the legislature. It's the insurance companies.
Wow.
And so it's a different world than it appears, and forces spend a lot of money to get people to see it a way in which it really isn't.
Well, when Newland and Newland owns their first skyscraper, I hope to be invited. I like buildings. I like real estate. You know my hobbies and stuff. So when you get your first skyscraper, I expect to be on the guest list.
Soon enough. So Shawn, tell me, where do you see the future of the Good Law Group?
We're going to keep helping people with their Social Security cases. That's been kind of the main focus for a long time. I've always loved real estate, buying, selling it, renting it. And we still represent buyers, sellers, and builders. And my brother joined, and now we're adding class actions and Ponzi schemes, which is kind of the new direction. And, along with that, he's doing, contract disputes. I could list off a few. I can't think of everything. You got me on a Friday at, later in the day. I'm getting tired.
Well, he has a reputation of being a top-notch litigator, and that's great to have him in your firm.
Yeah, it's been fun. I never thought he'd be here. Some things just work out how they work out, and it's my dad and I are both like it's more fun to come to work every day when you get along with the people you work with, and we're all pretty close knit. So it's been a cool couple of weeks, or maybe it's been a month now. Time flies.
Good. Well, I'm happy for you guys, and I'd like to thank everyone for joining us today, and Shawn, especially you for being a part of this podcast, and let everyone know that we look forward to broadcasting many more for you and appreciate all your viewerships. So signing off, though, from Arlington Heights, Illinois.
Thank you.
You've been tuning into Win with the Law with your host, Gary Newland. You can find this show on all the major platforms, including YouTube, LinkedIn, Facebook, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and on our website, newlandlaw.com. Thank you for your positive reviews, comments, questions, and for sharing this show with others.